I actually don't think I have shared my, like, how I found my therapist story. And I do think I would like to do that, but if I were to, like, not be able to see my current therapist anymore and was looking for a therapist, I would go about that differently than the way that I found my therapists. So I think what would probably be more helpful to you or to others would be to share how I would seek out a therapist now rather than how I found the ones I have. Also, thank you so much for the sweet comment about how you relate. Like, that makes me feel less alone, which is part of what I'm using this account for. I also am hopeful that when I share tidbits, it'll help other people, and it just feels so good to get comments like that. So thank you. So if I were looking for a new therapist today, which I definitely would not because I adore both of my therapists, I would look for a few things. So, for people who intellectualize or who have trauma, I am strongly of the belief that bottom up therapy modalities are like the end all be all, pretty much. And there are a lot of bottom up therapies out there. If you Google something like bottom up therapies or search it here on TikTok, you'll find a whole list of different modalities. Our couples therapist uses bottom up therapy, and the way that I would have known he would be a good pick would be that his profile, like, he makes it clear that, so AEDP is the therapy modality he uses that is bottom up. And he makes it clear in his profile that, like, that is by far and away his favorite modality and most used modality. A lot of therapists will list a lot of different modalities, and so but that doesn't necessarily mean that they utilize them on a regular basis. The fact that he said, I love AEDP and it's what I mostly use, is a huge green flag. On the other hand, my individual therapist, the somatic therapy, maybe some other bottom up modalities, but there wasn't like a strong signal that they primarily do bottom up. And to be really honest, I don't think in my sessions with them, I'm using them because they're non-binary, but I'm just talking about my individual therapist right now. They mostly do kind of a combination. Like, they ask me questions like, where's that in your body, or other somatic based questions that are kind of attempting to be a little bit bottom up, but we spend a lot of time talking like from my head and not from my body. If I only had them as a therapist, that might not be the greatest thing for me long term, to be really honest, as much as I really, really like them. However, they were great, especially when I was brand new to therapy, because I had therapy as a teenager that went great, but then I had to quit seeing that therapist, and I tried a couple of other therapists shortly after that, and I had one experience like during like an intake that was really rough. I'll share that story eventually, but I was pretty scared to restart therapy. Individual therapist is so safe that it was such a really, really good thing for me when I was first starting therapy. And I think when looking at their profile, what could have clued me in that they would be safe are a couple of things. One is, my cat, is they are a relational therapist, which kind of means that they don't really approach therapy from this sense of like, I'm the therapist and you're the client. You really feel like you're talking to a friend. And I think part of what helps that is they are, I think, pretty close to my age. And so I think that helps. I think when I have had therapists who have quite an age gap from me, I think that kind of almost has an inherent sense of more of a authority difference that you just kind of sense or feel. And I think there are pros and cons to that. I think if I'm really honest, there definitely is a different vibe with our couples therapist. And I think in some ways that's a really great thing. But when seeking to just feel as safe as possible and as accepted as possible and as comfortable as possible, I think relational therapy is great, and being on the same kind of authority level can be really great. The other thing that is really great about them, and that I think really helped with pretty immediate safety or a sense of safety, was they are non binary, and they keep they keep LGBTQ plus flag in view when they're on telehealth. Kind of told me immediately that they, because I'm pretty far left, I'm an atheist, etc. And also on their profile, they list that they utilized feminist therapy, so that they are neurodivergent affirming. Those things just gave me really strong clues that they are likely to have a similar value system to me, at least on a lot of the really big stuff. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you're open to telehealth, then pretty much your whole state should be open to you. I live in a small town. I don't even think there are therapy offices like right here. So if I were to try to see somebody in person, I'd probably have to drive to a bigger town that's like 30 minutes away from here or so, which wouldn't be the end of the world. But it is really nice to just have the whole state open to me, basically, as long as I'm doing telehealth. The other thing I will say on here is I have never used BetterHelp or things that are pushed as online therapy, but I know that BetterHelp specifically has a lot of controversy to it. I've kind of seen a lot of bad stories online. Obviously, make up your own mind, but my gut feeling is probably stay away from there. And also, I think a lot of people who try BetterHelp do it because they just know that they want telehealth, but there are tons and tons and tons of therapists who offer telehealth that you don't have to go through a place that is specifically like BetterHelp. I think for the most part, if you call up any of your like local therapy like group practices, it's very, very likely that at least some of their therapists will offer telehealth. Answer the last bit of your question, do I do psychotherapy? I think psychotherapy is just kind of a big umbrella term for basically like talk therapy. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that both of the therapists that I see would kind of be under the label of psychotherapy. I would say that I do almost exclusively talk therapist with my individual therapist, and then we do more like body-based work with our couples therapist, but I think both of those are forms of psychotherapy, but I could be wrong. But I have therapy twice a week. I do individual therapy once a week, and we do couples therapy every week. And our couples therapy is basically doing individual therapy, but together.